Commander Veldar floated in the observation deck of his ship, watching the massive structure that hung in the darkness of space. The thing was huge, bigger than 3 Star Destroyers put together. It looked like it was made of crystal and metal, but not any kind that the Zephyrian Empire had ever seen before. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing with a soft blue light that hurt to look at for too long. "Sir, the science team has finished their scans," said Lieutenant Kextar as he approached. His 4 arms clicked nervously against his armor. "They say it's some kind of gateway. Really old, maybe 10,000 years or more." Veldar turned his large head toward his officer. His yellow eyes studied the data pad that Kextar held out. The numbers made his stomach twist with excitement. Energy readings were off the charts. This thing could open holes in space itself. "Where does it lead?" he asked. "That's the strange part, sir. Our computers can read some of the old writing. It talks about a place called Earth, a world in something called the Sol System. But, sir, there are warnings all over this thing. The old race that built it, they sealed this gate shut for a reason." Veldar laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. The precursors were afraid of everything. They probably locked away some planet farmers because they were scared of new ideas. He walked closer to the viewing window, studying the ancient gate. "What do the warnings say exactly?" Kextar looked uncomfortable. "The translation is not perfect, sir, but it says things like deadly species inside and do not open until they are ready and for the safety of all life. There's one symbol that keeps showing up. Our computers think it means something like destroyer or deathbringer." "Nonsense," Veldar said with another laugh. "If these humans were so dangerous, why lock them away instead of killing them?" "No, Lieutenant. The precursors found a primitive world and decided to save it for later. Well, later has come." He activated his communication device and contacted the flagship. Admiral Kieran's face appeared on the screen, his scarred features showing interest as Veldar explained what they had found. "A whole star system behind that gate." Kieran asked, "Sealed away by the precursors themselves?" "Yes, Admiral. The science team thinks there might be a whole civilization in there. Primitive, of course, but that makes them perfect for slavery. Think of it, sir. An entire species that has never seen the galaxy. They won't know how to fight back." Kieran's mandibles clicked with pleasure. "The Empire needs new workers for the mining colonies. These humans sound perfect. Can we open a gate?" Veldar looked back at the massive structure. The warnings covered every surface, written in the dead language of the race that had once ruled the galaxy. But the precursors were gone now, and the Zephyrian Empire was strong. What could some locked-away primitives do against the might of a star-spanning civilization? "The engineers say they can activate it, Admiral. It will take some time to figure out the controls, but the power source is still active after all these years. We could have it open within a few days." "Excellent. How many ships do you think will need control of this new system?" Veldar thought about it. "A single star system with one inhabited world. Even if there were billions of these humans, they would have no space technology, no weapons that could threaten starships. 1 battle group should be enough, sir. Maybe 2 if we want to be careful." "Very well. I'll bring the 3rd fleet. We'll turn this discovery into the greatest conquest in Empire history." Kieran's image leaned forward. "Begin opening procedures immediately. I want to be the first Zephyrian to set foot on this Earth." As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Kextar stepped closer to his commander. "Sir, are you sure about this? Those warnings, they seem very serious. The precursors weren't known for being afraid of anything." Veldar waved away his concerns. "The precursors are dead, Lieutenant. They've been gone for thousands of years. Whatever they were afraid of is long past." He pointed at the gate. "Begin the activation sequence. In 3 days, we'll be heroes of the Empire." The next hours passed slowly as Zephyrian engineers worked to understand the ancient technology. The gate was incredibly complex, but their computers were powerful. Piece by piece, they figured out how to wake up the sleeping giant. On the 2nd day, something strange happened. As the engineers sent power through the gate systems, it began to respond. The crystal surfaces grew brighter. The metal parts started to move, shifting into new positions. But strangest of all, the warnings began to change. New symbols appeared, written in perfect Zephyrian. The message was simple and terrifying. Warning: humans have evolved beyond precursor expectations. Do not open. Contact Galactic Authority immediately. But it was too late. Admiral Kieran's fleet had already arrived, and he was not the kind of commander who listened to ancient warnings. The gate activation continued, and reality itself began to bend around the massive structure. On the third day, the seal broke. The gateway opened like a flower made of starlight, revealing the black space beyond. Through it, they could see a yellow star and the tiny blue that was Earth. Lieutenant Miho sat at his control station on the edge of human space, watching the screens that showed empty darkness between the stars. It was a boring job most days. Nothing ever happened out here at Defense Station 12. The coffee was bad, the air recycling system made weird noises, and his shift lasted 10 hours. Then everything changed. The sensors started screaming. Lights flashed red all over his control panel. Numbers jumped across his screen so fast he could barely read them. Something was happening in empty space, something that should not be possible. Captain Jaiwu. Miho called out, "You need to see this right now." Captain Jaiwu ran over from her office, still holding her morning coffee. She looked at Miho's screen and nearly dropped the cup. "What am I looking at?" "Spaces. Opening up. Captain." Like someone is cutting a hole in reality itself. Miho's hands shook as he worked his controls. The energy readings are impossible. This is technology we've never seen before. They watched as a massive gateway appeared where nothing had been before. It looked like it was made of crystal and light, spinning slowly in the darkness. Then ships started coming through. Lots of ships. Big ones. "Get me Admiral Kim on the emergency channel," Captain Jaiwu ordered. "Right now." While Miho worked his radio, more alien ships poured through the gateway. They were ugly things, all sharp edges and weapon ports. The biggest one was longer than a city block and covered in armor plating. Admiral Kim's face appeared on their communication screen. He was a serious man with gray hair and smart eyes. "Report, Captain." "Sir, we have unknown vessels entering our system through some kind of space portal. Count is now at 50 ships and rising. Configuration suggests military intent." Admiral Kim studied the data that Captain Jaiwu sent him. His expression grew darker with each passing second. "Those are warships, Captain. Heavy ones. Signal all defense stations to go to alert status." "I'm scrambling the fleet." Before Captain Jaiwu could respond, her communication system made a new sound. Someone was trying to talk to them. The computer worked for several seconds. Then a voice spoke in perfect human language. "Attention, primitive humans," the voice said. It sounded rough and proud, like someone who was used to being obeyed. "I am Admiral Kieran of the Zephyrian Empire. Your star system now belongs to us. You will surrender immediately and prepare for occupation. Any resistance will be met with total destruction." Captain Jaiwu looked at Miho, then back at Admiral Kim on the screen. Did he just call us primitive? Admiral Kim's jaw was tight with anger. "Open a channel, Captain. Let me talk to this Admiral Kieran." The alien commander appeared on their screen. He was tall and thin, with yellow eyes and skin that looked like leather. Sharp teeth showed when he spoke, and he had 4 arms instead of 2. He looked at the humans like they were insects. "Admiral Kieran," Admiral Kim said in a calm voice, "I am Admiral Kim of the Human Defense Force. You have entered our space without permission. I suggest you turn around and go back where you came from." Kieran made a sound like grinding stones. It took the humans a moment to realize he was laughing. "You dare to threaten the Empire? You live on one small world and have barely learned to travel between planets. We control thousands of star systems. You are nothing compared to us." "We are not nothing," Admiral Kim replied, "and we don't belong to anyone. Leave now, and we can talk about this like civilized beings." "Civilized?" Kieran's yellow eyes gleamed with cruel amusement. "Let me show you what happens to species that do not understand their place in the galaxy." The alien flagship's main weapon charged with visible energy. Captain Jaiwu watched in horror as the massive gun aimed directly at her station. "All personnel, emergency evacuation," she shouted. but there was no time. The alien weapon fired. A beam of pure energy crossed the distance between the ships in seconds. Defense Station 12 exploded like a star, taking Captain Jawu, Lieutenant Mio, and 300 other humans with it. Admiral Kim watched his people die on the communication screen. His face showed no emotion, but his hands clenched into fists. When he spoke again, his voice was cold as space itself. Admiral Kieran, you have just committed an act of war against humanity. You have murdered innocent people who offered you only communication and diplomacy. Kieran laughed again. War? You cannot fight a war against us. Human, you have no idea what real warfare looks like. No, Admiral Kim said quietly. You have no idea what human warfare looks like. He cut the communication and turned to his staff officers. Signal the 3rd Battle Fleet. Combat alert. Signal the 5th Fleet. Combat alert. Signal all planetary defense networks. We are now at war. Within 2 hours, space around the alien fleet began to fill with human ships. They appeared without warning, coming out of hyperspace jumps with perfect timing. Admiral Kieran suddenly found himself surrounded by vessels that looked nothing like the primitive spacecraft he had expected. Sir, his sensor officer reported, I count over 200 human ships. Their technology, sir, it's more advanced than ours. For the first time, Admiral Kieran felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. Fleet Admiral Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the battle unfold on the tactical display. The Zephyrian fleet had expected a fair fight, ship against ship, like gentlemen warriors. Instead, they got humanity's version of warfare. Sir, the enemy flagship is trying to target our command vessel, reported Commander Naeon from her station. Her fingers danced over the controls. Should I return fire? No, Admiral Hyunwoo said calmly. Let them waste their ammunition. Captain Donghyun, execute attack pattern 7. Across the battlefield, 50 human ships suddenly vanished from the alien sensors. The Zephyrians had never seen cloaking technology like this. Their weapons fired at empty space, while invisible human vessels moved into perfect attack positions. Admiral Kieran screamed orders at his crew as explosions rocked his ship. Where are they? How can they hide from our sensors? Sir, we're detecting massive electronic interference, his communications officer reported. They're jamming everything. I can't even talk to our other ships. The human attack was not random. Every shot hit exactly where it would do the most damage. Weapon systems exploded. Engine rooms went dark. Life support systems failed. The humans had studied Zephyrian ship designs and knew every weakness. Captain Sun, he led the ground assault on the first alien colony. Her soldiers moved through the settlement like ghosts in the night. The Zephyrian defenders had prepared for a normal attack with tanks and aircraft. Instead, human soldiers appeared everywhere at once. Enemy forces are using some kind of teleportation device. The alien commander radioed desperately. They're inside our command bunker. They're behind our lines. How is this possible? It was not teleportation. Human soldiers had been dropped from orbit in stealth pods, landing silently all over the colony. They had been hiding in the shadows for hours, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When Captain Sun he gave the signal, the battle was over in minutes. The Galactic Council received reports from across their territory. Every species that tried to help the Zephyrians met the same fate. The Altarians sent their best fleet. Human ships destroyed it using weapons that bent space itself. The Krolon Empire attacked with their famous warrior culture. Human commandos captured their leaders before the battle even started. General Yujin sat in her office, reading intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Her spy networks had been busy. They knew what every alien government was planning before the aliens knew it themselves. Ma'am, her aide said as he entered, we've intercepted communications from the vegan collective. They're planning to attack our supply lines next week. Next week? General Yujin smiled coldly. How unfortunate for them that their supply depot will explode tomorrow. Make sure it looks like an accident. The aliens were learning that humans did not just fight wars. They perfected them. Every conflict in human history had taught lessons that now played out among the stars. Humans had spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other efficiently. Now they used those skills on a galactic scale. Admiral Taeyong commanded the stealth fleet that nobody could see. His ships moved through alien space like invisible sharks, striking without warning and disappearing before anyone could respond. Entire enemy fleets would suddenly find themselves without engines or weapons, helpless in space. "Sir, the Kethvarian Defense Force is sending reinforcements to Sector 7, his sensor operator reported. "How many ships?" Admiral Taeyong asked. 200, sir. Their entire home fleet. Admiral Taeyong studied the tactical map. "Send 20 ships to Sector 7. Let them think they're facing a small raiding party. When they commit to the fight, hit their home world with the rest of the fleet." This was human warfare. While the enemy chased shadows in one place, humans struck where it really hurt. They did not just want to win battles. They wanted to break the enemy's will to fight. Lieutenant Jamin monitored alien communications from his intelligence station. The scared voices of enemy commanders filled his speakers. They talked about humans like they were monsters from nightmare stories. "The humans don't fight like us," one Altarian general whispered to another. "They don't care about honor or fair combat. They fight to win, and they're very good at it." "I heard they destroyed the Krolon homeworld in 3 hours," another voice replied. 3 hours. It should have taken months to break through their defenses. Lieutenant Jamin almost felt sorry for them. The aliens had grown soft during thousands of years of limited warfare. They fought like it was a sport with rules. Humans fought like it was life or death, because for them, it always had been. Captain Minji led the final assault on the Zephyrian capital world. As her ships approached the planet, the alien defenders sent one last desperate message. "Please," the planetary governor begged, "we surrender. We don't want to fight anymore. Just tell us what you want." Captain Minji's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "What we want is simple. We want you to remember that you attacked us first. We want you to remember what happens when you murder humans. And we want you to make sure this never happens again." The age of galactic warfare had ended. The age of human warfare had begun. The emergency meeting on Nexus Prime brought together leaders from every corner of the galaxy. Chancellor Mordun of the Altarian Collective limped into the Great Hall, his body broken from human plasma weapons. Where he once had 4 strong arms, now only 1 remained. The other 3 were metal replacements that clicked when he moved. "Friends," he spoke to the gathered aliens, his voice weak but desperate. "We face the end of everything we know. The humans have taken 43 star systems in 8 months. Our fleets are gone. Our colonies burn. They do not fight like any species we have ever known." Ambassador Reltun from the vegan worlds stood up next. Half of her face was covered in scars from a human attack. "My people tried to negotiate. We sent diplomats with gifts of peace. The humans listened politely, then asked us one question. Did we support Admiral Kieran's attack on their station? When we said we understood why he did it, they declared us enemies too." The room filled with frightened whispers. These were leaders who had ruled star empires, but now they looked like scared children. Fleet Commander Zexhai of the Krolon Empire slammed his fist on the table. "We are warriors. We have fought for 10,000 years. How can one small species defeat us all?" "Because," said a quiet voice from the corner, "they do not fight like warriors. They fight like hunters." Everyone turned to look at the speaker. It was Dr. Yilandra, the galaxy's leading expert on warfare. She had studied every major conflict for the past 500 years. "Explain," Chancellor Mordun demanded. Dr. Yilandra activated a holographic display that showed human battle tactics. "Look at how they fight. We send fleets to meet fleets in honorable combat. They send small groups to destroy our supply lines. We try to capture their territory. They capture our leaders. We follow the ancient rules of war. They make their own rules." The display showed the Battle of Kepler Prime, where 300 human ships had defeated 2,000 alien vessels. The humans had not tried to fight fairly. Instead, they had used electronic warfare to turn the alien ships against each other. "But how do they know what we will do before we do it?" asked Ambassador Relton. Admiral Eugen smiled as she watched the alien meeting from her command center on Earth. Every word they spoke was being transmitted directly to human intelligence. For months, her spy networks have been inside every major alien government. "Ma'am," reported her intelligence officer, "the aliens are planning something called Operation Last Light. They want to gather all their remaining fleets in the Centauri cluster for one final battle." "How original," Admiral Eugen said with amusement. "They think we don't know about it?" "Should we stop them, ma'am?" "No. Let them gather their ships. It will make our job easier." 3 weeks later, the greatest armada in galactic history assembled in the Centauri cluster. Over 5,000 warships from a dozen species floated in formation, ready for the final confrontation with humanity. Admiral Kieran, who had started this war, commanded from the center of the fleet. His ship was badly damaged, and he had lost 2 of his 4 arms in previous battles. But he still believed they could win. "Today we end the human threat forever," he broadcast his fleet. "They may be clever, but they are still just one species. We are many species working together. Together, we are stronger." The alien fleet moved toward the coordinates where human intelligence said the main Earth fleet was waiting. They expected to find Admiral Hein was forces ready for the biggest space battle in history. Instead, they found empty space. "Sir," Kieran's sensor officer reported with confusion, "there's nothing here. No human ships. No bases. Just nothing. Scan again." Kieran demanded. They must be using their cloaking technology. But there were no cloaked ships. The intelligence about human fleet positions had been false information, carefully planted by Admiral Eugen's spies. While the aliens gathered all their ships in one place, human forces were doing something much more effective. Admiral Taeyum's stealth fleet materialized above the Zephyrian homeworld. There were no defenses. All their ships were at Centauri. Captain Donghyun appeared over the Altarian capital. No resistance. Their fleet was gone. General Sunny's ground forces landed on a dozen alien worlds simultaneously. No opposition. Every military ship was far away, waiting for a battle that would never come. By the time Admiral Kieran realized what had happened, it was too late. His communication officer's voice shook with terror. "Sir, we're receiving surrender broadcasts from everywhere. Every homeworld in the Alliance is under human control." Admiral Eugen's voice came over the communication system, calm and professional. "Admiral Kieran, this is Admiral Eugen of Earth Intelligence Command. Your governments have surrendered. Your worlds are occupied. Your war is over." "Impossible!" Kieran screamed. "We have 5,000 ships. The largest fleet in galactic history." "Yes," Admiral Eugen replied, "and they're all in one place, far from anything important. Thank you for making this so easy." The great alien armada, built to destroy humanity, hung helpless in empty space. They had been outmaneuvered completely. While they prepared for one last glorious battle, humans had simply ended the war. It was the most human victory possible, winning without fighting the battle the enemy wanted. The trial took place on a human space station orbiting what used to be the Zephyrian capital world. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from every species in the galaxy, all of them now under human protection. At the center of the room sat Admiral Kieran, once the proud commander of star fleets, now a broken figure in simple prisoner clothes. Fleet Admiral Hyunwoo presided over the court, his face showing no emotion as he read the charges. "Admiral Kieran, you stand accused of starting an unprovoked war that resulted in the deaths of over 20 billion beings across 60 star systems." Judge Minji stood at the prosecutor's table, holding a data pad with evidence that could fill entire libraries. The defendant opened a sealed gateway, ignored ancient warnings, murdered innocent humans during peaceful first contact, and then led a galactic alliance in a war of aggression against Earth. Admiral Kieran looked up with eyes that had seen too much defeat. His once proud form was scarred and bent. 3 of his 4 arms were missing, lost in battles against humans who fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. "We thought you were primitives," he said quietly. "The warnings on the gate spoke of a dangerous species locked away. We believed you were the threat that needed to be contained. President Isil walked forward from the observation area. She was a small woman, but every alien in the room knew she now held the power of life and death over entire civilizations. Her voice was calm, but carried the weight of humanity's new position in the galaxy. The precursors didn't lock us away to protect the galaxy from us, Admiral. They locked us away to protect us from you. They wanted to give us time to grow strong enough to survive what we would find out here. She gestured to the viewing window, where Earth's new fleet could be seen patrolling the star system. Hundreds of human warships moved in perfect formation, their weapons capable of cracking planets. For thousands of years, we fought each other on one small world. Every war taught U.S. lessons. Every battle made us better at surviving. The precursors knew that when we finally came to the stars, we would be ready for anything. Admiral Kieran's voice was barely a whisper. Ready for what? Ready for species that would try to enslave us. President Isil replied. Ready for empires that would attack without warning. Ready for a galaxy that had forgotten what real warfare looked like. The trial continued for 3 days. Witness after witness described the horrors of the war. Alien civilians told how human soldiers had protected them from their own government's desperate last stands. Former enemy officers explained how humans had shown mercy to those who surrendered, but no mercy to those who continued fighting. General Eugen testified about the intelligence networks that had made victory possible. We didn't just fight your armies, she told the court. We studied your cultures, learned your languages, understood your fears. By the time the war began, we knew you better than you knew yourselves. Captain Dong-hyun described the space battles where human technology had proven superior. Your ships were built for honor duels between warriors. Ours were built by a species that had spent centuries trying to kill itself as efficiently as possible. On the final day, the verdict was read. Admiral Kieran was found guilty of all charges. But instead of execution, he received something worse. He would live to see what the galaxy became under human rule. The new Galactic Charter was signed in a ceremony broadcast across known space. Every surviving government put their mark on the document that made humanity the supreme authority in the galaxy. The old Galactic Council was dissolved. In its place came the Human Protectorate. Admiral Hyunwoo stood before the assembled representatives and explained the new reality. There will be peace in this galaxy. Human peace. You will not attack each other without our permission. You will not develop weapons of mass destruction without our oversight. You will not wage war without our approval. What if we refuse? Asked one brave alien diplomat. Admiral Hyunwoo's expression didn't change. Then you will discover why the precursors kept us locked away until we were ready. The transformation of galactic civilization began immediately. Human administrators took control of interstellar trade routes. Human judges settled disputes between species. Human teachers began educating alien children about the new way things would work. But it was not a cruel occupation. Humans proved to be fair rulers, as long as the rules were followed. Planets that had been devastated by war were rebuilt with human technology. Species that had been enemies for centuries found themselves working together under human supervision. Years passed. The galaxy grew prosperous under human protection. Trade flourished. Wars became extinct. The old cycle of conquest and revenge was broken forever. Admiral Kieran lived long enough to see it all. From his prison cell, he watched as the galaxy transformed into something better than it had ever been. On his final day, he was visited by President Isil, now an old woman but still sharp as a blade. "Do you understand now?" she asked him. Kieran nodded slowly. "You opened a gate to Earth, thinking to find slaves and plunder. Instead, you found your new guardians." He paused, looking out at the peaceful stars. "The galaxy still counts the dead for my ambition, and now you're the ones teaching us how to count properly." The age of human rule had begun, and the galaxy was finally learning to live in peace.